I could have.
Hello friends, welcome to Law and GK. So friends, on this channel we discuss the contents of law and previous year papers of judicial services and other legal exams. And friends, in today's video, we are going to discuss all the questions of constitution which came in the exam paper of UPSC CBI, APP, PP and other legal post from the year 2010 to 2023. Question number 1 is, a complaint was received by the governor of the state that an ex-minister in the State Council of Ministers had illegally acquired assets disproportionate to the known sources of his income, and the complainant requested his permission to prosecute the ex-minister. On a reference from the governor to the chief minister of state, an inquiry was held by the state vigilance department. After considering the report, Council of Ministers advised the governor to refuse permission to prosecute the concerned ex-minister. Rejecting the advice of the Council of Ministers, the governor gives permission for the prosecution of the concerned ex-minister. With respect to this, which one of the following is correct? The governor was bound by the advice of Council of Ministers. No. Was not bound. Has enjoyed discretionary power in such a matter. या फिर acted illegally by referring the matter, या फिर had power to take independent decision in the matter it relates to an ex-minister. D is the answer. And Article 163 says that whenever he decides in his discretion, it shall be final. Next is 2. In the interest of consumers, Parliament enacted a legislation imposing certain restrictions on the press, including page ceiling, price and advertisements. In order to avoid any challenge to the legislation under Part 3 of the Constitution of India, the legislation was included in the 9th schedule of the Constitution. The legislation is invalid because the press should be left on its own, या फिर invalid because the matter relates to subject which requires a state legislation, या फिर invalid despite its inclusion in the 9th schedule as it violates the freedom of press, which is basic structure of the Constitution of India. C is the answer. Next is 3. Which one of the following interpretations of Section 376B IPC did the Supreme Court hold in the case of Onkar Prasad Verma versus State of MP? Option A is the term custody implies guardianship as its meaning include carekeeping, charge, imprisonment, judicial or penal safekeeping, etc. This is correct. Custody is not narrow but would mean any sort of control. Yeah. The term custody under IPC has same meaning as a term in Evidence Act. The term custody is equivalent to physical possession of tangible property. A is the answer. Next is 4. In which of the following cases did the Supreme Court hold that in appropriate cases, police officers have duty to conduct a preliminary inquiry before registering an FIR in order to find out whether allegation made have any substance or not? This case was, it is Rajinder Singh Katoch versus Chandigarh administration. C is the answer. Next is 10. Which one of the following rights is not available to an accused delinquent person? To take the plea that he had already been punished for the same offense earlier. To refuse to give specimen signature and sample of handwriting. This would be double jeopardy. This can be taken. To plead he was not guilty on the date of committing the alleged crime. The act was not a punishable offense. This here can also take. To refuse to take part in the singing national anthem on the ground that his religion did not permit it. He can also take this plea. So what he cannot take or what not available? B. B is the answer. This is 11. The Parliament has no power to make law on audit of accounts. Yes, कर सकते हैं. Taxes on advertisement published in newspapers. B is the answer. Now see, this taxes on newspaper is in concurrent list in entry 39 in schedule 7. Obviously, so taxes on newspaper is a different thing, and taxes on advertisement published in newspaper, that is different thing. So power is within the state. Next 27. Which of the following statement is correct? No person can be subjected to narcolepsy test against his or her wishes. This is correct. Held in Salvi versus State of Karnataka. High Court cannot issue it to private person. Wrong. State legislature can prescribe punishment for the offences under Part 3 of the Constitution. No. All India service can be created according to the Article 312 as well as 320. No. So A is the answer. Next is 28. The Supreme Court in This is 28. The Supreme Court in a public interest litigation issued direction to the central government to give statutory status to an organization. The central government failed to give effect to said direction of the court. The petitioner filed a contempt petition before Supreme Court. In respect to the above, which one of the following is correct? Central government is guilty of contempt या फिर is not guilty of committing any contempt as direction issued by the court but beyond its jurisdiction, as the making of law by parliament was a matter of its discretion. बिल्कुल ठीक है ये. Central government is not guilty of committing any contempt as direction were violative of separation of power theory. No. So B is the answer. Next, 36. State government granted license to certain private operators to run stage carriages and contract carriages. The stage carriages could run only from one fixed point to another with fixed passengers without any right to pick up passengers en route. No such direction were imposed on the contract carriage that were required to pay higher rates of tax than the stage carriage operators. The contract carriage operators challenged the discriminatory nature of tax imposed on them. In respect of the above, which of the following is correct? The tax on contract carriage is discriminatory and therefore unconstitutional. या फिर tax is valid as there is reasonable classification between stage carriage and contract carriage in view of the facts stated above. This is correct. Tax is valid as same does not directly and immediately affect business. No. Invalid because it is compensatory in nature. No. B is the answer. Next, 39. The Supreme Court in Salvi and others versus State of Karnataka held that compulsory administration of narcoanalysis technique amounts to generation of relevant and admissible evidence to prevent crime effectively if a testimonial compulsion and thereby trigger the protection of Article 20(3) of Indian Constitution. B is the answer. Next, 43. Under Article 74 Constitution, there shall be a council of ministers to aid and advise President who shall act in accordance with such advice. In which one of the following cases President is not bound by the advice of council of ministers? In case of civil servant, no. State government on failure of constitution machine, no. Promulgation of ordinance, no. While deciding a question regarding disqualification of member of parliament, here he is not bound, so D is the answer. Next, 52. A state legislature passed an act banning the use of loudspeaker within 100 meters of educational institutions and also between 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. The validity of the legislation is challenged on the several grounds. Which one of the following correctly states the law? The act is valid as it relatable to entry 2031 of list 1 या फिर list 1 broadcasting and other like forms of communication या फिर act is valid as it relatable to entry 1 of public order and entry 6 of public health in लिस्ट 2. देखिए स्टेट लेजिस्लेचर ने लॉ बनाया तो लिस्ट 2 से रिलेट होना चाहिए, है ना. द एक्ट इज वैलिड एज द सेम वाज इनेक्टेड आफ्टर रिसीविंग न्यूमरस कंप्लेंट फ्रॉम द एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस या फिर एक्ट इज इनवैलिड एज इट वायलेट्स द फ्रीडम ऑफ ट्रेड एंड फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच एंड एक्सप्रेशन. बी इज द आंसर. Next is 53. With regard to fundamental rights, which of the following is not correct? Fundamental right cannot be curtailed by an ordinance. It is correct. Fundamental rights are not uniformly available to all persons. It is correct. No restrictions on right of freedom can be imposed by an executive order. It is correct. The fundamental rights are subject to parliamentary legislation passed to give effect to directive principles. No. D is the answer. Next, 59. A public spirit citizen sent a letter to the Chief Justice of India complaining that a large number of workers employed in factories are not being provided with minimum wages and basic amenities required to be provided under the Factories Act. Can the letter be treated a writ petition under Article 32 of the Constitution of India? Yes, it can be. No. Yes, because citizen is adequate. No, because cause of poor person is being espoused and there is no ulterior motive in writing the letter. D is the answer. Next, 60. The policemen in a state formed one association with members representing all cadres. The government amended the rules allowing the formation of association with members belonging to only one order for each association. The members challenge the validity of the amended rules with regard to the above. Which of the following is correct? The amendment rule is invalid या फिर valid as it imposes reasonable restriction on right conferred under Article 1C. C is the answer. Next 68. The association of policemen was recognized by state government with the condition that association will not take recourse to agitational methods to get their demands fulfilled. Shortly after recognition, the association started agitation with a view to force the government to accept their demands. The state government cancelled the recognition. The policemen became aggrieved by this action, started destroying public and private properties on large scale. The policemen were dismissed without any inquiry or hearing. The dismissal was challenged by the police on the ground rules of natural justice had been violated. With regard to the above, which one of the following is correct? The dismissal is valid as a protection available in civil servant under Article 311 cannot be applied in case such as this one. या फिर valid या फिर invalid as a regulation had not been inquired, या फिर dismissal is invalid right to policeman under Article 19(1) has been violated. No. So A is the answer. Next 75. The government imposes a ban on TV broadcasting news, scenes and stories of communal rights. Ban is challenged. Which one of the following is correct? Ban is invalid. If ban is valid as restriction is saved by the clause 2 of Article 19. D is the answer. In this paper, so many practical questions has been asked. Next 84. A person is arrested for having committed a crime. Which one of the following is not his right? To know the grounds of his arrest, to get the services of a lawyer, to approach the court for writ petition of habeas corpus, to approach the court for writ of mandamus. Mandamus वाला नहीं है तो D इसका आंसर हो गया. ये तीनों तो कर सकते हैं. This is 89. A statutory body arbitrarily terminated the services of an employee without hearing and notice. What is the best remedy? Is remedy making a presentation to statutory body या फिर civil suit writ petition to High Court, to Supreme Court या फिर approach administrative tribunal for relief? You can approach administrative tribunal. D is the answer. Next is 90. Which one of the following statement is not correct? The president's rule in a state can be imposed only after receipt report of the governor, even when the governor in his report stated that the constitutional machinery in a state has not failed. So we have to mention here what is not correct. These two are contradictory. On the recommendation of council of minister, this is correct. Even when the governor in his report has stated that the constitutional machinery in the state has not failed. This is not correct. So these two are contradictory. I would say these options were not made properly. D is the answer for sure. Next 95. The entrance provision are those provisions of the constitution which have been described as amendable by special majority ratification by not less than half of the state legislature as provided under Article 368. C is the answer. Next is 100. Which of the following statement is not correct? The Union Executive can issue direction to state government for the protection of railway within a state and also to ensure compliance with the parliamentary legislation. This is correct. The non-compliance with the direction issued by Union Executive amounts to failure of constitutional machinery in the state. Yes. The failure of constitutional machinery in a state gives rise to an action under Article 356 Constitution. Yes. An action under Article 356 may lead to suspension of fundamental rights. No, this is wrong. So not correct. D is not correct. D is the answer. Next 96. The preamble is useful in constitutional interpretation because it uses vague and value-loaded words या फिर contain the real objective and philosophy of constitution makers, is a source of power and of limitation, gives an exhaustive list of basic features of constitution. Contains the real objective and philosophy of the constitution makers. B is the answer. Next 97. The Supreme Court of India does not have an original exclusive jurisdiction regarding a dispute between Government of India and state or states. This is there. So you can see this is a repeated question from 2017 paper. Government of India, one state on the one side and one or more state on the other side. It is correct. Two states. Yes. Government of India and a foreign embassy located in India. No. So D is the answer. This is in Article 131. Next, 98. Governor of a state has power to constitute Finance Commission to review the financial position of Panchayat या state या फिर statutory bodies. Panchayats. A is the answer. It is provided in Article 243I. Next, 99. The seat of a member of parliament may not become vacant if he or she absent from meeting of the house for 8 weeks. तब vacant नहीं होगी. Holds membership of both houses of parliament तो एक की हो जाएगी. Holds membership of one house and also the state legislature तब हो जाएगी. Under acknowledgement of an alliance to a foreign state तब हो जाएगी. तब नहीं होगी. कितना चाहिए? इसमें 60 days मेंशन किया हुआ है in Article 101 about vacation of seats. यहाँ 8 week कर दिया तो थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूजन कर दिया ना. This is 100. Under which law it is prescribed that all proceedings in the Supreme Court shall be in English language? It is mentioned in Article 348 of the Constitution. D is the answer. Next, 102. Which one of the following statement is correct? A mentally retarded woman has a fundamental right to bear a child. Yes, obviously. A visually retarded woman has no fundamental. No, she also has a fundamental right. Person with physical disability cannot contest election. Wrong. Physically disabled person cannot seek admission in educational. It is wrong. So A is the answer. Next, 103. Which one of the following will not come under the expression state as defined under Article 12 of the Constitution of India? Government of India, that is state, municipal corporation, yes. SBI, yes. All private universities established by this act under state legislature, no. D is the answer. Next, 104. In which of the following case it was held for the first time by the Supreme Court of India that judicial reviews the basic structure of the Constitution? It is L. Chandra Kumar versus Union of India. B is the answer. Next is 105. Which one of the following statement is not correct? No person has a fundamental right to refuse to give blood for DNA test to decide paternity of child. It is correct. No person has fundamental right to refuse fingerprint to use as evidence. It is correct. Every person has fundamental right to refuse payment of a tax on the ground that government is using various tax by providing subsidy for pilgrimage for particular region. It is not correct. Fundamental right under 21 is also available for foreigners who are in India. Yes, it is correct. So, which is not correct? C. C is the answer. Next, 106. Which one of the following statement is not correct? Newspaper can publish parliamentary proceedings. Yes, they can. Can publish any part of parliamentary proceedings with the permission of the speaker. Yes. Newspapers have freedom to publish expunged portion of the speech. No. Parliament has freedom to publish its proceedings. It is correct. Which is not correct? C. C is the answer. Next, 107. Which one of the following is the leading case on the issue of transfer of judges? That was SP Gupta versus Union of India. A is the answer. Next is 108. The case of IR Kolo is related to 9th Schedule and Article 31B of Constitution. D is the answer. Next, 109. The principle of evolving a uniform civil code is stated in Article 44 of the Constitution. C is the answer. It is DPSP. Next is 110. Which one of the following tribunals commission has been set up in accordance with the provision under Article 323A of the Constitution? That is administrative tribunals. D is the answer. And by the 42nd Amendment, they were established. Next is 111. The Constitution of India in Part 21 does not contain special provision with regard to which of the following states? That is Himachal Pradesh के लिए नहीं है. D is the answer. Next, 112. Which one of the following statement is not correct? Article 370 is a temporary provision. It is correct. Article 370 of the Constitution of India may cease to be operative if the President so declares by public notification according to prescribed procedure. It is correct. Any dispute arising out of instrument of accession and entered into by the former Maharaja of Jammu and Kashmir can be adjudicated only by the Supreme Court. No, this is not correct. Article 1 of the Constitution of India is applicable to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. This is correct. So answer is, which is not correct? C. C is the answer. Next, 13. Which one of the following is not essential for creation of new state? The consent of the state from its territories to be taken out is mandatory. It is not essential. Parliament can create a new state simply by enacting a legislation. Yes. First schedule of the Constitution of India has to be amended. Yes. No requirement for seeking opinion of the UT which is converted into a state. It is correct. So A is not correct. A is the answer. Next, 114. Suppose the central government decides to issue license to private parties. Which one of the following would be a valid procedure to do so? On first comes first serve basis, या फिर by inviting sealed tender, opening public auction, by inviting sealed tenders and open public auction by as the government consider best in public interest. D is the answer. Next, 115. In India, union government cannot issue direction to the state in which one of the following cases? प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ रेलवे के लिए कर सकते हैं, टू इंश्योर कंप्लायंस विद लॉ मेड बाय पार्लियामेंट कर सकते हैं, टू इंश्योर एक्सरसाइज ऑफ एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर ऑफ यूनियन इज नॉट, ये नहीं हो सकता, वाटर ऑफ इंटरस्टेट रिवर इज नॉट ड्यूली एक्सप्लॉइटेड, इसके लिए कर सकते हैं. तो सी इज द आंसर. ऑन सी यूनियन गवर्नमेंट कैन नॉट इशू डायरेक्शंस. Next, 116. Which one of the following statement is not correct? No person can be prosecuted and punished for the same offense more than once. It is correct. Obviously, no person can be convicted of any offense except for violation of a law in force at a time of commission of the act charged as an offense. No person accused of an offense can be compelled to give specimen of his signature or thumb impression. उसके लिए कर सकते हैं compel. ये wrong हो गया, not correct. No person can be subjected to penalty greater than which he might to inflicted under the law in force at the time of commission of the offense. It is correct. So C is the answer. C is not correct. Next, 117. Which one of the following statement is not correct? Constitution of India contains provision regarding administration of scheduled area and scheduled tribes in the state. In any state, no. There are certain states like Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram, इनके लिए नहीं है. Any state free, it is wrong then. So they are asking not correct. So this is not correct. A is the answer. However, we'll see the next ones. Contain provision regarding the administration of tribal area and scheduled tribes in state of year. This is correct. There is separate administration for them. May by law within the state of Assam, autonomous state comprising of tribal areas. Yes. A law defining the matter with respect to the which executive power of the autonomous state shall extend can be amended by parliament by simple majority. It is correct. A is not correct. A is the answer. Next, 118. Public interest litigation is maintainable in respect of which one of the following matters? Service matters, yes. Policy matters, no. Parliamentary proceedings, no. Black money deposited in bank outside India, no. A is the answer. Next, 119. Which one of the following article Constitution of India permits states to make special provision for children? This is Article 15(3). D is the answer. Next, 120. Bijoy Emmanuel versus State of Kerala case is related to protection of religious belief, या फिर fundamental duty, या फिर performing tandav dance, या फिर observing religious practice at any location. Protection of religious belief to standing in national anthem. National anthem case है ना ये. So A is the answer. Question number 1 is original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to the exclusion of any other court does not include any dispute. Where is the provision for the original jurisdiction of Supreme Court? It is in Article 131. And what it mentions, include any dispute between Government of India, one or more state. Yes, it is correct. Between Government of India and any state or states on the one hand and other states on the other hand. It is correct. In relation to elections of president. Yes, it is also correct. Between Government of India and civil servants as to constitutional validity of service rules. No, it is not. So D is the answer. Next is 2. In which of the following cases Supreme Court upheld the constitutional validity of national awards like Bharat Ratna, holding that these awards do not amount to titles within the meaning of Article 18 of the Constitution? That is Balaji Raghavan versus Union of India. A is the answer. Next is 3. Which of the following fundamental rights cannot be suspended when the proclamation of emergency is in operation? That is Article 20 and 21. C is the answer. And where this is provided, it is provided in Article 359 of the Constitution. Next is 4. In which one of the following cases Supreme Court, while recognizing the Muslim women's right to maintenance for the first time, observed a uniform civil code will help the cause of national integration by removing disparate loyalties to laws which have conflicting ideologies? Which case was this? It was Muhammad Ahmad Khan versus Shabano Begum. C is the answer. Next is 5. Doctrine of eclipse pertaining to fundamental rights has originated from which one of the following articles of the Constitution? Article 13. D is the answer. It's a very common question. Next is 6. The power of Supreme Court of India to punish for contempt of itself is traceable to which one of the following articles of the Constitution of India? Article 129. C is the answer. This is 7. Which one of the following is a directive principle under the Constitution of India? To safeguard property and abjure violence, this is a fundamental duty, equal justice and free legal aid. This is DPSP under Article 39A. To value, preserve the rich heritage of India's composite culture, this is also fundamental duty, and free compulsory education of 6 to 14 years, this is also fundamental duty. So B is the answer. Next is 8. Which constitutional amendment is relevant to the goods and services tax? That was Constitution 101st Amendment. A is the answer. Next is 9. Which one of the following statement is not correct? State of Andhra Pradesh enjoys special status under the Constitution of India in matter relating to education, and therefore its power to prescribe residential requirement for candidates appearing in super speciality examination is constitutionally valid. It is correct. Supreme Court of India has no power to transfer case pending in a court within the state of Jammu and Kashmir to any court outside the state. No, it is wrong. The Parliament cannot empower any court in the state of Jammu and Kashmir to exercise the power exercisable by Supreme Court to enforce fundamental rights by issuing writs and orders. It is correct. The provisions of Article 371D of the Constitution have overriding effect over any other provisions of the Constitution. It is also correct. So what is wrong? B is wrong. B is the answer. Next is 10. Which one of the following pair is correctly matched? GST Council 279A. It is correct. Tax on sale of petroleum crude. This is in state list. So list 2 आना चाहिए. So it is wrong. And this is mentioned in entry 54. Duty on excise on petroleum crude produced in India. This is in list 1. In entry 84. Duties on excise on tobacco produced. It is also in entry 84 list 1. So these 3 are wrong. A is the answer. Next is 11. Article 246A of the Constitution contains a non-obstante clause, thereby overrides Article 254. Yes, it is correct. Confers exclusive power on the Parliament with respect to taxes on the goods and services in the course of interstate trade and commerce. It is also correct. Then legislature of state has been given power to make law for taxes on all goods and services. No, it is wrong. So 1 and 2 are correct. B is the answer. Next is 12. The doctrine of double jeopardy is enshrined under which one of the following articles of the Constitution of India? 20 का 2. B is the answer. Very common question. बहुत ही common question है ये. Next is 13. In which one of the following cases Supreme Court of India held that right to privacy is a part of right to life under Article 21 of the Constitution of India? It was Justice K.S. Puttaswamy versus Union of India. A is the answer. Next is 14. For making reservation in promotion in public employment under Article 16 of the Constitution, which of the following are essential requirements? Backwardness, inadequate representation, maintenance of efficiency in service. It is correct. So 1, 2, 3. D is the answer. Next is 15. In which one of the following matters Supreme Court cannot issue direction to the governments? For protecting children from drug abuse कर सकते हैं obviously. For protecting necessary quantifiable data of SC/ST candidates in civil service for giving them reservation in promotion, it cannot be done. For protecting good Samaritans who wish to help victims of road accident, it is there. Banning sale of liquor national and state highways. Yes. So B is the answer. Next 16. A joint session of Parliament is not envisaged in which one of the following situations? If a bill has been totally rejected by one of the houses of Parliament, तो कर सकते हैं. When a bill passed by Lok Sabha is partly modified by Rajya Sabha with regard to imposition of a tax on the matter of a tax or money bill, a joint session cannot be held. So it is wrong. When the House have disagreed to the amendments to be made in the bill, then it can be done. When a bill seeking to create a new state have been passed in one house, same is not passed by another house, can be done. So B is the answer. Next 17. Which one of the following statement is correct regarding the validity of any law relating to delimitation of constituencies under Article 327 of the Constitution? Can be challenged and tested only before the Supreme Court of India? It is wrong. Can be tested before Supreme Court of India or before the concerned High Court? No. Law Commission? No. It cannot be called in question before any court of law. D is the answer. And this is mentioned where? In Article 329 of Constitution. Next is 18. The decision of Kyoto Holahan versus Dachilu is an example of the application of doctrine of severability. D is the answer. Next is 19. In which one of the following cases Supreme Court of India articulated the right to speedy trial? That is Husnaina Khatun versus Home Secretary State of Bihar. B is the answer. Next 20. Which one of the following statement is not correct? The GST in respect of interstate trade is levied by the Government of India. Yes, it is correct. In respect of state collected by Government of India. Yes. In respect of interstate trade is divided between the Government of India and state government. Yes, it is correct. GST in respect of interstate trade forms part of Consolidated Fund of India. No, it is wrong. So D is the answer. Exercise 21. Which one of the following article of the Constitution of India ensures the continuance of pre-constitutional laws? That is Article 372. C is the answer. Next is 22. In which one of the following cases did the Supreme Court of India refuse to exercise its power to issue direction to complete justice in a case pending before it? That was Nidhi Kayam Vyapam case regarding students admitted illegally to medical courses. C is the answer. Next 23. Which one of the following actions of the state is not permitted under Article 15 of the Constitution of India prohibiting discrimination? Making any special provision for admission of socially and educationally backward classes, SCs and STs to minority education institutions. C is the answer. Next 24. Which one of the following rights is not guaranteed under Article 22, 1 and 2 of the Constitution of India? Right to be informed on the ground of arrest, it is there. Right to consult and to be represented by a lawyer of his own choice, yes. Right to be produced before magistrate within 24 hours, yes. Right of an arrested person under preventive detention legislation. That is in 22 clause 4. So D is the answer. Next 25. Which of the following is not a privilege under Article 105? Freedom from arrest on a criminal charge. It is not a privilege. Right to exclude strangers from his proceedings, yes. Right to regulate internal proceedings, yes. Right to punish for contempt, yes. So A is the answer. Article 105 is the parliamentary privileges. क्वेश्चन नंबर 1 इज मैच करना है लिस्ट को. पावर्स हैं अंडर आर्टिकल 72 ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. क्या पावर्स हैं? ये पावर्स है प्रेसिडेंट की टू पार्डन, रिप्रीव, कम्यूटेशन, रेस्पाइट. तो व्हाट इज पार्डन? टू rescind both the sentence and conviction and absolve the offender from all punishment and disqualification. एक का हो गया 3. व्हाट इज रिप्रीव? A temporary suspension of punishment fixed by law. Commutation, postponement of execution. It merely substitutes one form of punishment for another with a lighter character. You get 2. Respite, postponement of execution of sentence to the future. तो क्या बन गया इसका? 3, 4, 2, 1. ये रहा. B is the answer. थोड़े से ऑप्शन ठीक बनाने चाहिए, थोड़ा गैप देना चाहिए. पता नहीं चल रहा है यहाँ पर कौन सा क्या है. देखिए ये C जो है यहाँ पर आना चाहिए था यार, D यहाँ पर आना चाहिए था. थोड़ी गड़बड़ कर दी है इधर. Next is 2. The subject of bankruptcy and insolvency are covered under which one of the following entries and list of the 7th schedule of the Constitution? ये है entry 9 and in concurrent list. A is the answer. Next is 3. Constitutional safeguard to civil servants is explained under which part of the articles of the Constitution of India? That is in part 14, article 311. B is the answer. Next is 4. Under which one of the following articles of the Constitution a review petition could be filed against any judgment or order of the Supreme Court of India? That is Article 137. C is the answer. 136 क्या है? Special leave petition, इसको SLP बोलते हैं, है ना। 133 क्या है? ओरिजिनल जुरिडिक्शन ऑफ सुप्रीम कोर्ट इन मैटर्स ऑफ इन सिविल मैटर्स। एंड 138 क्या है? पावर ऑफ एनलार्जमेंट ऑफ जुरिडिक्शन ऑफ सुप्रीम कोर्ट। Exercise 5, on which of the following ground the Supreme Court of India may entertain the curative petition while exercising its wide power for non-observance of the principle of natural justice and abuse of the process of the court? Yes. Violation of right of accused? No. Condonation of delay? Principle of prospective overruling? No. A is the answer. Exercise 6, which fundamental right cannot be enforced in the court during emergency if suspended by the president? Right to life ये कर सकते हैं 20 में, right to religion ये नहीं कर सकते, right not to be prosecuted and punished for the same offense more than once, ये तो होगा ही होगा, right against self incrimination ये भी होगा, तो कौन सा नहीं कर सकते? cannot be enforced? B is the answer. Next is 7, which one of the following is not explicitly stated in the amendment procedure laid down in Article 368 of the Constitution? Simple majority in either house of the parliament, यही नहीं है बस. Simple majority of not less than 2/3 मेंशन किया गया है. Rectification pass not less than 1/2 the state ये भी है. President make you assent the bill or may return the bill ये भी है. तो A वाला नहीं है. A is the answer. Next is 8, which is the suitable expression for right to vote? It is obligatory in nature या फिर mandatory या फिर moral statutory? It is statutory. D is the answer. Next question number 9. Which of the following is not deemed to be constitutional power of the President of India? Dissolving both houses of the Parliament. क्या प्रेसिडेंट बोथ हाउसेस को डिसॉल्व कर सकते हैं? देखिए, जो राज्यसभा है, काउंसिल ऑफ स्टेट्स अपर हाउस, वो एक परमानेंट हाउस है, उसको डिसॉल्व नहीं किया जा सकता, तो बोथ वाला यहाँ पर ये ऑप्शन गलत हो गया. प्रोरोगिंग बोथ हाउसेस, यस, प्रोरोग कर सकते हैं. एड्रेसिंग बोथ द हाउस ऑफ पार्लियामेंट, यस. ग्रांटिंग पार्डन, यस. ग्रांटिंग पार्डन कहाँ मेंशन है? इन आर्टिकल 72. तो नोट कौन सा इसमें फिर आंसर? तो इसमें आंसर क्या रहेगा? नोट डीम्ड. ए इज द आंसर. Exercise 10. Consider the following statement. The decision declaring some of the provision of the Act to be invalid does not affect the validity of the Act as it remains. Which one amongst the following principles of the Constitution of India does the above statement refers to? This is principle of severability. D is the answer. That invalid part would be swear. मतलब उसको अलग कर दिया जाएगा, बाकी वो एक्ट जो है रिमेन रहेगा. D is the answer. Exercise 11. Which among the following citation is more relevant to the judgment relating to Sabarimala Temple? That is Indian Young Lawyer Association versus State of Kerala. A is the answer. This is Puttaswamy. कौन सी थी ये? Right to privacy वाली. Next is 12. Which form of talaq divorce was set aside in the landmark judgment relating to triple talaq in the year 2017? That was talaq biddat. Triple talaq जो बोलते हैं ना, talaq biddat बोलते हैं. C is the answer. हसन क्या होता है? तलाक इज प्रोनाउंस ओनली वंस. इन हसन इट इज प्रोनाउंस 3 times but during 3 2 periods. तलाक सुन्नत, दे बोथ हसन एंड हसन आर तलाक सुन्नत. Next 13. Whom the following does not fall under the definition of office bearer mentioned in Article 243 ZH relating to cooperative societies? President, chairperson, yes. There is no registrar. C is the answer. There is registrar of cooperative societies, but that is not office bearer of a cooperative society. And definition they are provided in clause E. Next is 14. A law of preventive detention can provide detention of a person without the intercession of advisory board for a period of 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. 3 months. C is the answer. Where it is provided? It is provided in Article 22, clause 4. Next 15. In the recent Ayodhya land dispute case, whom the following was a member of panel of mediator constituted on 8th March 2019? It was Justice Fakir Muhammad Ibrahim Khalifullah. A is the answer. So let's move to the questions. Question number 1 is, in respect of which one of the following has the Supreme Court of India recently overruled its earlier decision? देखिए, अभी इन्होंने एक वर्ड यूज कर दिया, रिसेंटली. राइट टू डाई was earlier held as a fundamental right in P. Rathinam versus Union of India, है ना. Later on, in case of Gyan Kaur versus State of Punjab, it was overruled. However, this is an old case, not recent. So it was freedom to have same-sex relationship. It started with Naz Foundation versus NCT Delhi case, where Delhi High Court decriminalized the Section 377. Later on, Suresh Kumar Kaushal versus Naz Foundation case come up and it criminalized this 377 again. Later on, case Navtej Singh Johar versus Union of India 2018 judgment came, which gave the freedom to have same-sex relationship and consensual sexual relationship. So the answer is C. Axis 2. Which one of the following is the latest addition by the Supreme Court to the rights under the Article 21 of the Constitution of India? These all are also fundamental rights under Article 21. However, the right to internet service. Recently in 2020, Anuradha Bhasin versus Union of India case came up where the right to internet service upheld as fundamental right under freedom of speech and expression. So D is the answer. Axis 3. Which one of the following is provided by the Constitution 104th Amendment 2019? Reservation of seats in favor of SC/STs in all legislative bodies only, या फिर House of People as well? Anglo-Indian no. In the House of People and Legislative Assemblies for 80 years from the commencement of the Constitution. It was again revised. So C is the answer. Axis 4. The Constitution of India expressly contains which one of the following kinds of reservation? Maximum of 10% for economically weaker section of citizens. Yeah, it is correct. A is the answer. Then maximum 15% of scheduled caste no, 7.5% for scheduled tribe no, 27% for OBC no. A is the answer. It is mentioned that the reservation for scheduled caste, scheduled tribe and OBC, but the exact percentage has not been mentioned. Article 15 and 16 mentions about the providing reservation to SC/STs and OBC classes. However, there is no maximum cap for a particular caste or tribe. It is mentioned that up to maximum 50%. However, for economically weaker section, the 10% maximum of 10% is particularly mentioned in Article 16(6) of the Constitution. Axis 5. Which one of the following statement about National Commission for Backward Classes is correct? Amenable to jurisdiction of High Court? No. It is a constitutional body not amenable to. It is a constitutional body and amenable to the jurisdiction of High Courts. Then it is established by the 102nd Amendment Act 2018 and is amenable to jurisdiction of High Court. This is correct. It is an executive body amenable to all High Courts. C is the answer. And it is mentioned in Article 338B of Constitution, which was added by the 102nd Amendment Act. Next 61. Supreme Court can decide matter of policies of the government related to propriety or needs of legislation, whether or not the farm legislation passed by the Parliament in 2020, whether or not farm legislation passed by the Parliament in 2020 deals with trade or commerce or food stuff. D is the answer. Next is 62. Supreme Court was unanimous in upholding the constitutional validity of Aadhaar Act 2016. A is the answer. There was one dissenting, here one dissenting, one dissenting. Next 63. A writ can be issued against central government for violation of terms and conditions of service of a teacher. Yes. Can be private university. Yes, because they are performing a public function. Private trust running a college affiliated to university. Yes. So 1, 2 and 3. So D is the answer. Next 66. A state can be changed to a union territory by following which procedure? Amending the Constitution of India in the prescribed manner, by passing a bill, by introducing a bill on the recommendation of President, या फिर introducing a bill on the recommendation of President after seeking opinion of the state legislature concerned and passing the bill by simple majority in Parliament. D is the answer. Next is 67. Which one of the following is not correct? The reservation in employment to public service can never exceed 50%. This is correct. There can be discrimination based on religion with other factors. No. One person can form a class. Yes, it is correct. The concept of criminal layer has been kept in mind under Constitution 103rd Amendment 2019. So which is not correct? BB is the answer. Next 68. The right against self-incrimination entitles a person to refuse giving of sample of handwriting, blood sample, thumb impression. ये तो दे सकते हैं. Narco analysis test. D is the answer. And case कौन सा है? Which is the case? Selvi versus State of Karnataka. Next 69. Undue delay cannot be ground to quash criminal proceeding. Yes, it is correct. Modify death sentence to life. This is not correct. Release an arrested person on bail. No, if statutory period is over, then he can apply for bail. And disciplinary proceedings, no. So A is the answer. This is 100. Under the provision of Article 110(3) of Constitution, court has no power to decide the validity of legislation of 9th schedule. Yes, court has the power. Validity of legislation enacted to give effect to directive principle under Article 42-46 have the power. The validity of decision of a Speaker of the House of People in deciding whether a bill is a money bill or not. Court has no power. Determining a tax imposed on interstate trade. Yes. So C is the answer. Next one, 101. The Constitution of India provides for impeachment only of President of India. A is the answer. And where is the provision? The power is in Article 56 and procedure in Article 61 of Constitution. Next is 102. Whenever the Constitution of India confers power on the President of India to be exercised at his pleasure, the same has to be exercised on the aid and advice of Union Council of Ministers, except the power to grant pardon, no. Dismiss public servant, no. Give sanction to bill passed by the state legislature, no. Decide the question of disqualification of member of parliament, yes. So D is the answer. Next is 103. If there is inconsistency between laws made by parliament and state, a state law would be valid or invalid? Valid only if it falls under concurrent list and receive the assent of the president. This is 7th schedule of constitution, but the consent of assent of the president is not mentioned. If a valid law, valid if in pith and substance state law was covered under the entry 2nd of the 7th schedule of the constitution, and invalid if it is covered in the list 1 of 7th schedule. Yes, it is correct. So D is the answer. Next is 104. The writ of certiorari cannot be issued to call for record of a case pending in district court. कर सकते हैं. Quash decision of tribunal on the ground of violation. Yes. To decide whether a lower court has jurisdiction to decide a case or not. Yes. Direct a person to vacate public office held by him. No. This is quo warranto. यहाँ quo warranto issue होती है, तो D इसका आंसर रहेगा. Certiorari can be issued against judicial and quasi-judicial authorities. Next is 105. An all India service can be created in accordance with the procedure prescribed in Article 312 of Constitution, या फिर by President by making rule under 309. A is the answer. Next is 106. Article 330 of Constitution does not contain provision relating to reservation in favor of members of Anglo-Indian community. D is the answer. All three are there. Next 107. The freedom of speech and expression under the Constitution of India disallows disclosure of information pertaining to antecedent criminal background of a candidate contesting election to Lok Sabha. No. Education qualification of a candidate contesting legislative assembly of a state. No. All cabinet papers, yes, they are privileged documents. Violation of human right by Narcotic Control Bureau, no. So C is the answer. Next is 108. The High Court and Supreme Court stand on equal footing in respect of eligibility of a person, appointment as a judge, retirement of a judge, removal of a judge, or hearing appeals. Procedure for removal of a judge. C is the answer. Next 109. The fundamental right to equality is not violated if there is a reasonable classification between the person, things and places having nexus with the object sought to be achieved. Yes, it is correct. Then person is treated as a class, yes. Special court for trial of special offences is established, yes. So all three are correct. 1, 2, 3. D is the answer. Next, 111. The Supreme Court judgment in P. Rathina vs. Union of India, it is 1994, not 44, was set aside by the Supreme Court in the case of Gyan vs. State of Punjab, as I mentioned earlier as well. B is the answer. अरुणा रामचंद्र शानबाग ये किस पे है? पैसिव इथनेशिया पर. Next, 115. Which one of the following statement with regard to the duration of the House of Parliament is not correct? 5 years in case of House of People, and Council of State is never dissolved, yes. 5 years in case of House of People, which can never be extended, no. It is wrong. Every member of Council of State retires, no. Yes. C is the answer. Next, 116. Which one of the following statement is not correct? Union of India has power to issue direction to state government to protect the railway within the state. It is correct. Union of India cannot make law for establishment of courts for administration of law made by Parliament in Union. It has power. तो ये हो गया wrong. Parliament can make law on any subject which is not included in the list of 7th schedule. ये correct है. Parliament has power to make law in state list during proclamation of emergency, yes. So B is not correct. B is the answer. Next, 117. Parliament has no power to make law for the whole of India. Wrong. Implementing international treaties, yeah, ये भी wrong हो गया. Powers हैं GST पर, ये on agriculture ये नहीं है. D is the answer. Next, 118. In which one of the following situation can the President of India promulgate an ordinance when the House of People is in session? No, both houses not in session. When both houses of Parliament are not in session and the President is satisfied that circumstances exist rendering it necessary to take immediate action. C is the answer. Ordinance making power of President is in Article 123 of Constitution. Next, 119. In which one of the following cases mandated death penalty for murder by life convict under Section 303 was struck down by Supreme Court in Mithu versus State of Punjab? C is the answer. Very common question. बच्चन सिंह में क्या था? Rarest of rare case doctrine. Next is 120. Which one of the following is a correct statement? Right to property is a constitutional right. It is correct. Earlier it was in 19(1)(f) in fundamental rights, but it was deleted by 44th Amendment and added as Article 300A as a constitutional right. Judges of Supreme Court never retire. Wrong. Judge of High Court retire and attaining age of 62 years. This is also wrong. Law Commission of India is created under the Constitution. No. So A is the answer. Question number 1 is, which one among the following provisions of Constitution of India requires a guardian to provide opportunities for education to his ward between age of 6 years to 14 years? देखिए, राइट टू एजुकेशन के 3 आर्टिकल हैं. आर्टिकल 21A है, फिर आर्टिकल 45 DPSP है, और फिर है फंडामेंटल राइट. 21A कहता है कि स्टेट शेल प्रोवाइड टू 6 to 14 ईयर्स. 45 में क्या है? अप टू 6 ईयर चाइल्डहुड केयर. एंड फिर से जो है 6 to 14 ईयर जो है ये गार्जियन की एक फंडामेंटल ड्यूटी है उसको एजुकेशन प्रोवाइड करना. 51A क्लॉज के. ऑलराइट. सो 1 का आंसर रहेगा डी. अब 51A जो आया था वो आया था 42nd अमेंडमेंट से. स्वर्ण सिंह कमेटी की रिकमेंडेशन थी. अर्लियर जब 42nd अमेंडमेंट आई थी तब थी ये ड्यूटीज 10. बाद में जो के जो है ये ऐड की गई बाय द अमेंडमेंट एक्ट ऑफ 2002 विद इफेक्ट फ्रॉम 1 April 2010. जो राइट टू एजुकेशन की ये अमेंडमेंट आई थी with effect from 2010. ओके, सो डी इसमें आंसर रहेगा. नेक्स्ट इज टू कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट. People of India have liberty of faith and worship. So the preamble says have liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship. Okay. Then morality cannot override the freedom of faith and worship. ये गलत है. This is wrong. Morality can override. How? Article 25 clause 1 mentions subject to public order and morality, है ना, in the first line itself. So 1 is correct, 2 is incorrect. So only 1 is correct. A is the answer. Next is 3. Consider the following statement with regard to fundamental right to fundamental freedom of religion. No religious institution shall provide any education institution wholly maintained out of state funds. This is correct. Mentioned in Article 28, Clause 1. Next is 2. Religious instruction may be provided in an educational institution established by any trust which requires that religious instruction shall be imparted in that institution, even though that institution is administered by the state. This is also correct. Mentioned in Article 28, Clause 2. Next 3. No teacher or student attending any educational institution recognized by the state shall be compelled to attend any religious worship that may be conducted. This is clause 3. So 1, 2, 3 are correct. C is the answer. Next is 4. Consider the following statements. First, only question of law can be subject matter of litigation before the Supreme Court under Article 131 of the Constitution. No, this is wrong. Question of law or fact can be subject matter of litigation. And 131 is original jurisdiction of Supreme Court. Alright, so this is wrong. Any question involving the legal right of a state against the government of India can be decided only by the Supreme Court. This is correct. So B is the answer, only 2. Next is 5. The quorum to constitute a meeting of the House of People is 1/10 of the total membership of the House. The quorum is related to either house, not only for the House of People but both houses. So this is correct, mentioned in Article 100. If at any time during a meeting of the House of People there is no quorum, the Speaker has no option but to suspend the meeting. Now it is mentioned has no other option, but he may either suspend or adjourn. So this is wrong. The Chairman of Council of States has only a casting vote in the case of equality of vote. This is correct. So 1 and 3 are correct. B is the answer. Next is 6. Which of the following statement relating to various provisions of the Constitution of India are correct? The members of the Committee of Parliament on Official Languages are elected by the member of the House of People and the Council of States in accordance with a system of proportional representation by means of single transferable vote. This is correct. Official languages in part 17. Okay. This is Article 344 and Clause 4. The member strength is total 30, 10 from Rajya Sabha and 20 from Lok Sabha. Next statement is 2. The chairman and member of the Official Language Commission are appointed by the President of India. This is correct. Mentioned in Clause 1 of Article 344 itself. Then third is the representatives of every state in the Council of States are elected by the elected member of the Legislative Assembly of the state in accordance with the system of proportional representation by means of single transferable vote. This is mentioned in Article 80, Clause 4. So all are correct. 1, 2, 3 is the answer. D is the answer. Next is 7. Under the Constitution of India, for the UT of Puducherry, the Parliament may by law create which of the following? An elected or partly elected and partly nominated body to function as a legislature. This is correct. Mentioned in Article 239A. A Council of Ministers as well. Yes. Both are correct. So both is the answer. C is the answer. Next is 8. Which of the following are not considered to be an amendment of the Constitution of India? Law made by Parliament by exercising power under Article 2 and 3. This is correct. Mentioned in Article 4, Clause 2. Then law made by Parliament with regard to UT referred to in Article 239A, that is UT of Puducherry. We just have done the question for that, है ना? So this is also correct. This is mentioned in 239A clause 2. So both are correct. तो both इसमें आंसर रहेगा. C is the answer. Next is 9. Consider the following statements in respect of proceedings in Parliament. The validity of any proceeding in Parliament can be called in question on the ground of irregularity of procedure. This is wrong. Cannot be called in question. Mentioned in Article 122 Clause 1. So this is wrong. Then second is, an officer of the Parliament having power to maintain order in the Parliament shall be subject to the jurisdiction of Supreme Court in respect of the exercise of power for that purpose. So this is shall not be subject to jurisdiction of Supreme Court. Mentioned in 122 Clause 2. This is also wrong. So both are wrong. Neither 1 nor 2. D is the answer. Next is 10. The total number of ministers in the state cannot exceed 15% of the total number of members of Legislative Assembly of the state concerned, and there cannot be less than 12 ministers in any state. This is correct. This is Article 164 1A. Next is, the minister in every state hold office during the pleasure of governor. This is correct. Mentioned in 164 Clause 1. Next is, no person below the age of 21 years can be appointed as a minister. This is correct. Now this statement can said to be wrong in one sense, and technically you see they are saying that below 21 years you cannot be a minister. This is totally correct. To qualify for becoming a member of state legislature, as per Article 173, you must be of minimum age of 25 years. वैसे यहाँ पर आना चाहिए 25 years can be appointed as minister. Because minister कौन बन सकता है? Who is member of legislative assembly. अब वो जो member ही नहीं बनेगा तो वो minister कैसे बनेगा? तो minimum is 25 years. So we will not recognizing this statement. Third, 1 and 2 is the answer. B is the answer. Next is 11. Which of the following statement is not correct? Member of a state public service commission holds office up to 62 years of age. 6 years or 62 years of age. This is correct. Mentioned in Article 316 Clause 2. And this 62 is 65 for UPSC. If a member of UPSC. है ना? Next is, any member of a public service commission can be removed from office on the ground of misbehavior in prescribed manner. This is correct. Mentioned in Article 317 Clause 1. Next is, in the absence of the chairman of UPSC, the senior most member of the commission performs duty of the chairman. The senior most is not mentioned. It is mentioned any member as the president or governor may appoint. Alright, so this is wrong. Mentioned in Article 316 1A. Next is, the chairman of UPSC Service Commission is not eligible for any appointment with any government. This is correct. Mentioned in Article 319 Clause A. So C is the answer because it is wrong and they have asked in the question not correct. So C is the answer. Next is 12. In which of the following states it is mandatory to appoint a minister in charge of tribal welfare with additional charge of welfare of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes? So Article 164 Clause 1 proviso mentions the states as Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh and Odisha. So you can learn it like this. Smoj, Mjos. You can make some shortcuts like this. So D is the answer. Next is question number 13. There is no express provision for tribunal under which one of the following provision of the Constitution of India. तो देखिए आर्टिकल 323 किसके लिए है? फॉर द एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव ट्राइब्यूनल्स, तो यहाँ ट्राइब्यूनल की प्रोविज़न है। फिर 371D, इसमें जो है क्लॉज 3 में लिखा हुआ है कि प्रेसिडेंट में बाय ऑर्डर कंस्टिट्यूट ए ट्राइब्यूनल इन AP और तेलंगाना, बिकॉज दिस 371D इज स्पेशल प्रोविजन फॉर आंध्र प्रदेश एंड तेलंगाना। ऑलराइट, फिर 217 जो है ये क्या है, अपॉइंटमेंट एंड कंडीशन ऑफ द ऑफिस ऑफ जजेस ऑफ हाई कोर्ट। फिर आर्टिकल 227, पावर ऑफ सुपरिंटेंडेंस ऑफ हाई कोर्ट ऑन अदर कोर्ट्स एंड ट्राइब्यूनल्स, तो यहाँ भी ट्राइब्यूनल का प्रोविजन है। तो किस में नहीं है, सी में, आर्टिकल 217 सी इसमें आंसर रहेगा। So friends, here we have discussed all the questions of Constitution which came in the exam paper of UPSC CBI, APP, PP and other legal post from the year 2010 to 2023। अगर आपको इसमें कोई कमी लगी हो, कोई सजेशंस हो, कोई एडवाइस हो, तो आप जो है कमेंट सेक्शन में जाकर भी लिख सकते हैं। वी ऑलवेज अप्रिशिएट योर कमेंट्स। एंड अगर आपको कोई क्वेश्चन गलत लग रहा है तो आप जो है टाइम लिख दीजिए, जो भी टाइम आ रहा है वीडियो में वो आप लिख देंगे तो हमें वो पता चल जाएगा कि यहाँ पर जो है क्वेश्चन को रिकन्सिडर करने की ज़रूरत है। एंड इफ़ इट नेसेसरी हम उसको रेक्टिफाई भी करेंगे। वी ऑलवेज अप्रिशिएट पीपल हु टेल अस आवर ड्रॉबैक्स एंड मिस्टेक्स। एंड अगर आपको वीडियो अच्छी लगी हो तो ज़रूर लाइक कीजिएगा, शेयर कीजिएगा अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ और चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें। एंड अगर आपको वीडियो और भी अच्छी लगी हो, हमारे एफर्ट्स अच्छे लगे हो तो काइंडली गिव अस अ सुपर थैंक्स। सुपर थैंक्स इज जस्ट अ वे टू अप्रिशिएट द कंटेंट क्रिएटर। सो फ्रेंड्स, देखते रहिए हमारी वीडियोज़ को, मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट वीडियो में। थैंक यू, थैंक्स वेरी मच फॉर वॉचिंग दिस वीडियो।